So yesterday, this interview with me and Dave Rubin was released on his channel. It was part of Locals Week, where basically Dave interviewed a bunch of people who are on Locals, where we talked about our communities, what we're doing with our communities, why it's different than normal social media. You guys know you can always watch all of my videos ad-free on Locals. All the information is actually in this video. Probably, I don't know if it's over there or over there based on what I'm filming, but it's in a little box in the video. It's also in the description below if you want to learn more about that. But he also asked me a question in this interview that I wasn't altogether happy with my answer with, because frankly, I just wasn't expecting to be asked it. And the answer was fine in the interview, but I wanted to give a little bit of a better answer because I think it's a really important question. And after I did the interview, I kind of kicked myself. I was like, you could have answered that so much better than you did. And I did some introspection and really thought about it. So the question is, what is it about me that lets me be brave in these very strange times? Why am I able to get up and kind of speak my mind without fear when so many people struggle with that? And I mean, the short answer is that it's not as though I don't do this stuff without fear, guys. That's not it at all. But relative to other things that I've experienced in my life, it just doesn't seem like that big of a deal. And listen, I'm going to get a little bit woo-woo. I'm going to get a little bit spiritual in this video. I strongly believe that everything we experience throughout the course of our lives is designed to develop us into the person we're meant to be, to meet whatever challenges we're meant to meet. Now, that is an incredibly vague statement. That sounds like a horoscope, right? That can apply to anyone. But I believe that we all come to this human form to have certain experiences and to contribute certain things to the world. I believe there's a greater plan. I am not a Christian. Side note, I recently found out I got classified as like a religious conservative on some sort of like YouTube transparency thing. I'm like, I'm not even a Christian. I don't know how you guys are getting that I'm a religious conservative, but probably because I talk about God, whatevs. Anyway, though, I do believe that there is a plan for all of us here, and that we all have experiences throughout the course of our lives that are designed to build us into the person that is designed to meet that plan. And if there's anything in my life that shows me that that's true, it's my whole journey on this path. I mean, think about it, guys. If I hadn't taken up knitting 15 years ago, if I hadn't randomly decided to go to a Trump rally, if I hadn't randomly decided to start to watch a walkaway video one day, if I hadn't randomly been on Instagram posting pictures of my knitting, none of these elements would have ever kind of come together in this perfect storm of circumstance to lead me to writing the Trump rally article that launched me onto this path back in February. And sometimes the coincidences are just too much. But in regards to the question around resiliency, I mean, I've got a couple answers. I've got a couple answers about things that I've experienced in my life. And I've got actually a psychological answer. I'm going to give you data and science to back that up. And we're going to look at some research that basically shows how you yourself can also apply some tools to lead a life where you can express yourself, do what you want to do, be as successful as you want to be. There are actually 3 components that are proven to lead to individuals having successful outcomes, at least in regards to their careers. But I'm going to make the argument that we can probably apply these things in our real life too. But before we get into that, guys, I am on the final countdown to 100,000 subscribers. Final countdown. I have, as of this recording, about 400 left to go. Now, I'm definitely going to hit that mark before Election Day. I have no doubt about that anymore, but I want to do an extra challenge. I want to hit it by tomorrow, which is Friday, October 23rd. I want to hit it by tomorrow, and if we hit that goal, then I'm going to do a happy hour live stream tomorrow and tell you the very scandalous, fabulous, and I think hilarious story of how I got fired from New Hampshire Public Radio. I promise you guys, this is a really good story. You're not going to want to miss it. So if you're not yet subscribed to this channel, just click that little red subscribe button right below. It's down there somewhere. If you think you're subscribed, just double check it. I'm sure we can get another 400 people by tomorrow to subscribe, and I can do my happy hour live stream. We can kick back, we can have some cocktails or, whatever your drink of choice is and relax, and you can hear about how I got fired in absolutely spectacular fashion. It's one of the proudest moments of my lifetime, really. But we got to get those 400, so like, share, subscribe, get your friends to subscribe, all that good stuff. All right. Let's talk about a more serious matter at hand. How did I develop this resiliency? So I want to start by saying that I don't really hold any ill will towards anyone. Certainly not my parents. my parents, they're good people, and I think that they tried really hard, and I think that, any faults in my childhood were the lack of them knowing rather than an existence of actual malice on their part. But like, guys, I didn't have the hardest childhood in the world, but I didn't have a good childhood either. I was basically, in the environment that I was in, I was not allowed to say what I thought. In fact, through many years of therapy and coaching, what I've ascertained, or what I've kind of come to the realization of, is that when I was growing up, anytime I was successful or talked about things I was excited about, or, had a victory of some sort, I was met with a little punishment. And so over the course of that, what I learned is that if I was successful, if I was happy, if I was doing the things that I wanted to do that fulfilled my life, my parents wouldn't love me. Now, that might seem like a weird assumption or a weird conclusion to draw in this circumstance, but that was what happened. If something happened to me that was good, punishment. If I was excited about something, punishment. If I said something that they didn't like, punishment. And it wasn't like a physical, I'm hitting my hand here as kind of a joke. It wasn't a physical punishment. It was more that like I was ignored, or things were said. And essentially what happened is I didn't really speak when I was at home. For years, I really didn't open my mouth. I didn't speak all that much. Now, I talk a lot about expression and the importance of expression in my videos, and especially my locals. We actually talk about that quite a bit in my locals, purely because for the first part of my life, I really didn't have that. I mean, probably for the first half of my life, to be honest, I would say up until really, even maybe more than that, because really up until I was out of the thumb of my parents, which was not until I was like 23, 24, 25, something like that. I really didn't have the gift of expression, because every time I expressed myself, there was retribution in some way. And so I think I really value that gift of expression. And again, I have to come to these situations with gratitude, because, which might sound odd, like, Carlin, why are you grateful for the fact that you didn't really speak for a good portion of your adolescence? It's because it made me into the person that I am. I would not be this person that feels so strongly about speaking up, speaking my truth, saying what I think, if I hadn't gone through that earlier in life. I've talked a lot on this channel, and again, also in my locals, about how we learn through contrast. The greatest gifts that we are given is when we can establish contrast in something, because when we know that we really dislike something, that makes it very clear what we actually like, what we actually want. I'll give you a really simple example. If you have never taken a cold shower in your life, can you really appreciate how glorious and wonderful a hot shower really is? Well, no, I'm going to say you probably don't, because you don't have that contrast. But the minute you have to take that cold shower, oh my God, that next warm shower that you take will feel so good. It's going to be like the best shower you've ever had in your life. We learn through contrast. I think one of the reasons that I really value expression above almost anything else is because I didn't have that for a long period of my life. Now, again, I want to emphasize, my childhood was not the worst childhood in the world, but that was certainly a challenge that I had to overcome. And I think that the only way that I got here was by overcoming that specific challenge. One of the problems I have with what has happened to this generation that are out there protesting and being violent is that they have not developed resiliency. Listen, guys, if you need a safe space when someone disagrees with you, then you have not developed individual resiliency. And we have done this entire generation a disservice in that regard. I developed resiliency because I had to overcome this idea that if I expressed myself, I wouldn't be loved. That's what I had to overcome. And now I know that that's simply not true. I mean, listen, look at what's going on in my life right now. Like, when I express myself, how blessed am I? When I express myself on YouTube, when I do these videos, or Twitter, or any of these social networks or whatever, I get a ton of love. I get some hate too. Don't get it twisted. I get my fair share of hate, but listen, guys, look at the thumbs up versus thumbs down on this video. I can say this before the video is even posted, because it is very consistent across all my videos. I get significantly more love than I get hate. And that is a direct contrast to the first part of my life. And so I have to be grateful for going through that. I think that gratitude is a key part of this. What would happen to all those young people that are out protesting if we taught them to be grateful for the challenging experiences they have in their lives, because that's what makes them who they are. I am very blessed that I have had teachers, especially in the last 5 or 6 years. I've done a lot of spiritual work and introspection, and I have teachers and I have shamans and I have mentors and I have coaches and I have all this stuff. I have all these people guiding me on this journey and reminding me that every component of our lives does happen for a reason, but the only thing we can control is our gratitude, how we respond to the things that happen to us. So yeah, I'm going to be grateful for the experiences I had in my childhood, because they made me the person I am today. They gave me the strength to be able to do this, to be able to withstand some of the hate. Oh, my Surrey just went off. Sorry about that. I have no idea why. That's actually a little creepy. Whatever. Back to this. So that's number one, is that I have had to overcome challenges like that. Not just in that. I mean, I've had to overcome that. Life is funny too, in that we keep repeating patterns until we finally figure out a way to get over them. So, after my parents, I had abusive relationships. I had with bosses, especially. I studied workplace bullying as part of my dissertation, because I had a lot of, really, really crappy bullying bosses that inspired that particular work. And I dealt with it and I got over it, and it sucked at the time, but it kind of makes other challenges pale in comparison when you get over those challenges. But I want to talk about the psychology of this too, because there is actually psychology to back it up. And I want to introduce you to Michelle Gielan. Michelle Gielan is a positive psychology researcher. She's also happens to be married to Sean Aker, who you guys may know of as he's like Oprah's happiness guy, and he wrote The Happiness Advantage and all that. So they probably have the happiest family in the world. But Michelle Gielan has these 3 attributes that she's found that are predictors of success in the professional world. But again, I'm going to make the argument that this probably applies to the real world as well. And so I just want to take you through these 3 factors, and I want to show you how these 3 factors do actually apply to my journey in terms of being able to speak out and do the things that I'm doing without really, having a whole lot of fear of the repercussions of it. So she says, and I'm going to link this page below so you can refer back. We're not going to read all the text on this page, but I just want to get across the 3 main points. The 3 greatest predictors of success have been shown to not only account for 75% of your long-term job successes, but these elements of our mindset also fuel our broadcast. Our broadcast is what we put out into the world, what we give our world, our coworkers, our friends, our family, our audiences, all those things. Transformational positive broadcasters score high on these 3 metrics and are highly expressive of that positive mindset. The first is work optimism, which is this idea that good things happen as long as our behaviors align with those good things. So our actions matter. When we are faced with a challenge, the decisions that we make in regard to that challenge will lead to either a positive or negative outcome. And work optimism is the belief that a positive outcome is possible if we are focusing our mental resources in the best possible way. So she's got here that work optimists are 5 times less likely to burn out and 3 times more likely to be highly engaged at work. Next up, we have positive engagement. And this is where I really think I've applied that in terms of being able to speak out, being brave, and speaking my mind. Positive engagement is the idea of looking at stress looking at a stressful situation as a positive thing rather than something to be feared. So what she's got here is, when stressed, do you view stress as a threat or a challenge? If you perceive stress as a challenge, then you're 15 times less likely to burn out and 7 times more likely to be highly engaged with your work and 3 times more likely to be satisfied with your job. So is speaking out, is doing this thing on the internet, is doing these walkaway rallies, is standing up for what I believe in stressful? Oh, you bet it is. Would it be a lot easier if I just said, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter? Yeah, it would have been. I would have lost a lot less friends. I'd probably still have relationships with my family, all that good stuff. That would have been significantly easier, but that is not the way that I went. Instead, I said, okay, these are the things that I value. These are the things that I think are important to stand up for. Is there going to come a little bit of suck on this journey? Yeah, there's some suck to it. but the result of it, the outcome of it is actually so much greater. And I like that challenge. I like the challenge of really pushing myself to refine my beliefs and also pushing myself to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to create the type of world that I want to create. And lastly, she's got support provision, which is a little bit different than the first two. Support provision is about helping and supporting other people. So what she's got here, how much do you help your coworkers and provide them with support? Workers who give their teams and coworkers who give to their teams and coworkers are 65% more likely to get a promotion and 5 times less likely to burn out. But I want to apply this a lot further than just your job. What value do you give the society? What value do you give the world? How do you help people? How do you support people? How do you lift people up? One of the things that I've come to on this journey, and listen, this is a really humbling experience for me, to be honest. And so I'm not giving myself like a pat on the back when I say this, but one of the things that I've heard so much from so many of you is that when I show up, when I speak out, I inspire you to do the same. And so one of the gifts I think I'm giving on this journey is to help others to express themselves, to help others to find their own voice. And that's important to me because, again, I didn't express myself for probably the first part of my life. It's probably one of the reasons I make so many videos now, because I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to express myself. And there were so many years that I was holding things back that I wanted to say that I didn't feel like I could. And now I have this avenue where I can say whatever I want, more or less, and put it out there and feel good about it and get positive responses from it. Like, that's awesome. That is a gift. And if I can give other people that support, if I can give other people that inspiration, then that's a gift to me as much as it is a gift to them. And again, that's an incredibly humbling thing, but when we help others, when we support others, that will lead to our own success. Listen, some of you have heard me talk about there are creators and destroyers in the world. There are creators and destroyers. There are people who you're one or the other, right? Creators are people who they build things, they do things, they give value to the world. Destroyers are people who haven't developed the self-esteem to know that they have a valuable gift to give the world. And so in response to that, to cope with that, with their lack of self-esteem, their lack of self-love, their lack of self-worth, they end up destroying the good work of others. Literally, right now, burning it down. So that, I think, is a much better answer. And I just want to end this again saying with gratitude, because here is the thing. Be grateful for everything you have in your life. Everything you have in your life, the good and the bad, contributes to who you are. And if you can genuinely express gratitude, listen, you're going to be able to let go of grudges. Like I said, believe me, there were times I hated my parents. There were times I hated and I'm still, there are periods right now, I don't even speak to my parents right now. I'm greatly annoyed with many things, but I don't hate it. I don't hate them. I'm not carrying around that burden of anger. I'm not carrying around that burden of resentment, because regardless of whether or not it was pleasant at the time, everything that I've experienced throughout my life has led me to be the person I am today. And sometimes we have to go through the fire to come out and to do the things we want to do. And so I'm going to be grateful for all of it. If you can find it within yourself to be grateful for every component of your experience, that's only going to help you. That's only going to serve you. That's only going to make you happier. And that's only going to result in you showing up more in the world and seeing everything that happens as a gift that's going to help and support who you are. All right, guys, so I think that's a much better answer to that particular question. The first one was good too, but let's be honest, that answer was a little bit long. Dave just wanted to do like a 15-minute interview. This video is already 20 minutes, but I hope I've given you some things to think about. That's all I've got for right now. I'll see you soon.